I was very happy with Randy Orton because Randy had been champion. He had been doing all the media. He had been doing all of the upfronts and press and open the show, close the show. Like everything is about you. And he could have said, I don't want to give it up. No, not yet. But he was like, there ain't nothing bigger in wrestling than Mark Henry. And that's an easy decision. Like, I love the dude, not because of what he did for me, because we did a lot for each other. When Randy was coming up, Randy didn't have a stellar career with everybody in the office.
Reputation wasn't that great.
They almost washed their hands of him 2 or 3 times, and I helped with that situation. And he didn't do it because of that. He did it because I was over. He did it because who you gonna lose to? The guy that's the scariest, the most dangerous thing in wrestling, or are you gonna lose to somebody that you really feel like I should beat him?
Right.
So he put the batter in my back too. Of man, there ain't nobody more deserving than you. You earned that. And that's what the office wanted to do, and that's what we did.
What is that night like for you when you lay your head as world champion? How does that feel, that trip home?
I remember getting to my hotel, and I mean, it was hell in a cell. It was a rough match. I had a bunch of scratches and stuff from being in the cage, and I got cleaned up and everything again because I had bled through my shirt, and my shirt was stuck to me on the drive back to the hotel. So I got back to the hotel and I showered again, cleaned up, and I'm laying in the bed and I'm looking at the chair next to me with the title on it with my bag open on the floor. And I ended up putting my feet back on the floor, and I remember crying and looking at the title for like 30 minutes. I just sat there and I was just staring at it like I couldn't believe that it was in my room and that I was sitting here looking at this title like it was a person. And thinking about the history, the 100 and at that time, 28, I think, other men that had held it before me. And the place that I was going to hold even after I was dead, that I would be remembered. All of that stuff came after the noise was down. Yeah. I didn't even have the TV on yet. I was about to turn the TV on, and then I looked over and was just double taped, and I just sat up and started staring at it. Like I couldn't believe it. I'm sure that at one point, when you were shooting The Mandalorian, which I'm one of the biggest nerds in the world when it comes to Star Wars sagas. I watched every minute of everything that's ever been done Star Wars 10 times. I watched your performance 3 or 4 times each episode. And if I was to be in a Star Wars saga, I would watch it over and over just because, man, look at me. I'm standing like, that's Star Wars. Like, I'm sure
that's how I feel about the world title.
Your mom and your dad, I'm sure that they looked at your baby pictures, and then they looked at stuff you've done in the movie world, and they just do this. Well, I'll be damned.
That I'm sure
That little kid that used to piss the bed.
He still might, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah, man, it be getting wild.
Cold-blooded. Look at this. Like, that's how I felt. I had a parental sense of accomplishment. Like, I was proud of myself, like I was the parent of myself. And I don't know if you ever experienced that yet, but I realized it was like the Olympics. It was like the World Championships. It was like my son being born. It was like my daughter being born. It was like me and my wife getting married. It was a big to-do, and there was nobody to share it with but just me and the title.
It's out-of-body experience, really.
It was crazy. Like, I'm sitting there like, that's the title.
Yeah.
And people like, I'm mad at people that piss on wrestling. Ryback called the title a prop that, grown men fight over. And, there's been other people that said stupid shit like that. And it makes me angry because it was the complete body of work and the out-of-body experience of what I went through and what I did to pay those dues for that to come home with me. Mm-hmm. And for somebody to trivialize it like that. Mm-hmm. Like, because they couldn't have it.
Yeah.
That sucked. But not in that moment. In that moment, bro, it was just like an overwhelming feeling of accomplishment, pride.
I bet. Did you think at one point what your grandma must be feeling?
Oh man, like I would have gave up everything for my mom and my grandmother to be alive. Like all the money, the houses, cars, and all of that shit. I would give all that up to get a hug from them.
Yeah.
And at that moment, yeah.
Watch new episodes of No Contest Wrestling every Wednesday or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us at No Contest Wrestling Podcast on Instagram.